From Dolphins Soccer Park on the campus of the College of Staten Island, CSI Sportsnet welcomes you into coverage of NCAA Division II men's soccer. In today's East Coast Conference matchup, the College of Staten Island Dolphins host the University of the District of Columbia Firebirds. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome into the McDonald's pregame show. My name is Joe Foreman, and I'm once again joined on the call by my broadcast partner, Aaron Cohen. And Aaron, we talked about it quite a bit during the women's game earlier today, but this may be the biggest game thus far of the men's soccer season. Right now, the Dolphins are on the outside looking in the ECC playoff picture. They have 2 points. They trail both Damon and Malloy in the hunt for the sixth and final playoff position. Damon has 3 points in 4 games. Malloy has 4 points in 5 games. The Dolphins have scored their 2 points in the standings in 5 games. So this is a game that they need to win if they're going to keep pace in the hunt for that final spot. Also, if you're UDC, you have a chance to earn a first-round bye. A win today could go a long way toward earning one of those 2 first-round byes. The Firebirds currently sit in third.
That's right. Firebirds in a pretty good position. They can jump ahead of St. Thomas Aquinas if things go their way, but this is all about the Dolphins. Like you said, they are 8th, but they're still very heavily in the mix. A lot of teams stacked at the bottom of the lineup. When you look at the conference standings, possibility even, depending on certain results, for the Dolphins to jump as high as 5th, depending on how Roberts Wesleyan performs. Wouldn't expect that to happen. That's probably the most ideal scenario. Regardless, no prospect of hosting a conference game here for the men's team, but I'm sure they'll still be thinking they can get into the playoffs despite the fact they have yet to win a conference game. Could get their first win here against a very respectable conference opponent here, University of the District of Columbia, on their home turf where they're stronger than their away performances. So they'll be feeling the excitement. They'll be feeling like they can take something away from an opponent that could be potentially taking them for granted, Joe.
Well, there is some good news for the Dolphins, Aaron. This Dolphins team, 2-1-2 at home. They have not yet won a game on the road. They are 0-5-1 on the road. So they've been far better here at Dolphins Soccer Park. Also some good news for the Dolphins. They faced the D'Youville University Saints this weekend. D'Youville is yet to win a conference game. They have lost 9 consecutive games. They also face Malloy University in their season finale. Right now, Malloy occupies the 6th and final East Coast Conference playoff spot. Both the Dolphins and the Lions have played 5 conference games. The winner of that season finale, if there is a winner and they do not draw, the winner would earn the tiebreaker. So that's huge for this Dolphins team. However, Damon currently ahead of them. The Wildcats have only played 4 conference games. That hurts the Dolphins as they lost to Damon earlier this season. That's something for the Dolphins to keep in mind as well heading into today's matchup against the Firebirds team that, as you mentioned, is a very formidable opponent.
Yeah, they do still have to face D'Youville. That'll be their next competition, but it is important to recognize that both of the teams currently directly above the Dolphins in the standings, Damon and Malloy, they also have yet to play D'Youville. So it's potentially a bit of a wash in terms of that's still a game that they have to win and take away from. But it will potentially all come down to the final game of the season against Malloy here at Dolphins Soccer Park.
And it's going to be a big day for that season finale. The Dolphins will host Senior Day on October 28th. Both the men's and women's soccer team will be in action against the Lions. The women took a big step towards securing a playoff spot of their own earlier today as they picked up a win over Lincoln University. That win, a huge win for the women. The men similarly will look for a big win here this afternoon against UDC. And the Dolphins and Firebirds have played a couple of close games in the past. We saw a couple of years ago here at Dolphins Soccer Park, UDC walked off with a golden goal. They picked up a 1-0 victory over the Dolphins back in 2021. Last year on the road, the Dolphins traveled to UDC, and the 2 teams played to a draw. But if I'm thinking back to that game that I covered here in 2021, it was a hard-fought, physical game, got a bit chippy at the end, and we had a post-game celebration on the game-winning goal as well by the visitors. They were enjoying going back and forth with the Dolphin, very pro-Dolphin crowd here at the College of Staten Island. Unfortunately, the crowd might not be much of a factor here today. This game taking place on a weekday, midday. Not many spectators here at Dolphins Soccer Park. often tough to fill these bleachers on a weekday. A lot of capacity here at Dolphins Soccer Park, but unfortunately for the Dolphins, the amount of home supporters able to attend today's game rather limited by the time and place. With that, it is time for kickoff. We will have the introduction of starting lineups in the national anthem. When we come back, the Dolphins host the University of the District of Columbia in search of their first conference victory and a big step towards securing an East Coast Conference playoff spot. ECC men's soccer after this break.
My dad was a soccer coach and bought this little book bag. I could sit in the book bag like facing backwards and look like my legs out. So I'd be in his book bag when my dad coaches and the ball's going around. I'm like kicking at the ball in the back and my dad was like, "We have a prodigy." So he put me into soccer and it just progressed from there. The catalyst was the opportunity to play soccer at a Division II school. I loved the team. They brought me in like I was one of their own. The professors help out so much. They actually care about developing me, not only so I just memorize the material and able to take a test, but am I able to apply the information. I don't feel nervous asking them, "Hey, I'm not going to be in class. Can you send me something?" And they're completely fine with it and they understand, which is the best part. On my team, I thrive to work as hard as I can. I mean, whatever you do on the field, there's a positive correlation to whatever else you do. Be it personal relationships, homework, the way you carry yourself. I'm able to go out and become president of the Student Athletic Advisory Committee. SAC is consistent of like a ton of different backgrounds, and we'll come up with cool ideas for like fundraisings and having the opportunity to raise money for Make-A-Wish and knowing it's going towards a good cause. Not only motivates me, but it motivates the whole community. I've changed since I got to King University. It's really helped me to develop as a leader. I think it's honestly the best thing that's ever happened.
I was the kid who would do surgery on my teddy bear and like have my sister be my patient, and I would wear the stethoscope and the lab coat. I was that kid. Wayne State Medical School has been my dream medical school since I was 5. Dr. News, who is the head of the biology department, definitely has had a huge impact over the past 2 years I've been in the lab. He took a chance on me and actually gives me the power to actually do things. Athletics are important, but so is service, so is research, so is becoming a better person. And we expect you to do well athletically, but don't forget the reason you're here, which is to give back to your community and to get good grades. I've had so many experiences with underprivileged people and just seeing that they want the basic things that people get out of life. And if I can help in any way, that just kind of warms my heart. That's why I want to be a doctor, to serve those who have been dealt a bad hand. It was my sophomore indoor season. It was the first year with our new head coach. And he comes in and he's like, "We could be a national contending team if you guys work hard." And I heard him and I was like, well, I want to be a national champion. I want to be an All-American. And I bought in because he bought into our team. And I qualified to go to indoor nationals. It was just because I bought into myself, because someone bought into me. I decided I wanted it, so I went and grabbed it.
The Kettle Black on Staten Island, a top 5 wing joint in America by Food and Wine magazine. Serving daily lunch and dinner at the bar or on the floor. Perfect for family and group parties with top shelf drink and delicious food. From great times with good friends. Live sports and watch parties. To Staten Island's hottest nightlife. The Kettle Black features live music and DJs weekly. The Kettle Black features daily and nightly food and drink specials. The best Staten Island has to offer is at the Kettle Black. We'll see you there at the Kettle Black, located on 415 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
No, I'm right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Nick Durst here along with Joe Calabrese.
Here we are, 200 episodes later, about 150 episodes with guests, our friends, soon to be your friends.
Well, it's pretty clear, Joe, that it's all about You Know I'm Right, the podcast. That's my You Know I'm Right moment. Wanted to do a podcast, and everyone was like, what are you, crazy? Who's going to listen? You're not going to get guests. Well, guess what? I'm the best when it comes to getting guests. If you could vouch for that.
I am so happy that you asked me to do this. I couldn't have been more thrilled. And follow us on socials. Check us out. I promise you, if you want to work in media, whether you work in media now, whether you want to quit your job and work in media, come to us, and I promise you, we will get you on the right foot.
That's what it's all about, uncovering the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Keep it locked on You Know I'm Right.
And we are back from Dolphins Soccer Park, where we are just about set to get underway in today's East Coast Conference men's soccer matchup between the College of Staten Island Dolphins and the University of the District of Columbia Firebirds. For the Dolphins, Aaron, I think it's simple, and I think it's fair to say their season is very much on the line today. Mathematically, they would still be alive if they don't win this game, but I think in all likelihood they're going to need a point out of today's game against the Firebirds to give themselves a good chance of securing that final playoff spot.
I think you're spot on there, Joe. Need at least a point from this matchup, and if they were to get a win out of this game, it would put them in a pretty good spot in terms of tiebreak, where you mentioned earlier when we were talking about the women's game, how one of the important factors is your best win against the conference opponent. Considering where UDC currently is at third, that may be influential.
Well, taking a look at the ECC and the remaining schedule, one of the teams the Dolphins would have to pass is Damon. If they did pick up a draw today, both the Dolphins and the Wildcats would have 3 points. However, the Dolphins would have played now 6 conference games as opposed to Damon having played 4. On the schedule for the Wildcats the rest of the way, Roberts Wesleyan, St. Thomas Aquinas, D'Youville, and Mercy. So taking a look there, they're taking on teams that are in the top half of the standings with the exception of D'Youville. 3 out of their last 4 conference games against teams in the top 5. So that bodes well for the Dolphins. However, it doesn't matter if they don't take care of business today. And regardless of what this game means in terms of the conference standings, you know the Dolphins would like to get back into the win column and to protect their home turf. Well, they've been very good this year. They hope that trend continues against UDC today.
Absolutely. And I'm looking more closely at the standings. There is still a possibility for them to make it into the playoffs if they do lose today, but it will be mostly out of their control.
Exactly, and I think with Damon having 4 games left and the Dolphins only having 2 following this result, it becomes that much harder for CSI to get in should they fail to pick up the win in this game. But mathematically, it would be possible. You're absolutely right about that. And I think, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but a lot is riding on that final game of the season because they may need that tiebreaker over Malloy. So we'll talk more about that as the day progresses. And Aaron, my favorite jerseys are back, the white on white.
You know, I love the white versus black aesthetic that we have going on, but from an accuracy on the broadcast perspective, we've talked about it many times already.
Garcia along the touchline tried to cross, but he could not keep that ball from traveling over the line and out of play. But you do make a good point, Aaron. I like the white and the black in terms of an aesthetic. Dolphins going white uniforms, black socks. Some players opting for the black cleats, some players for the white, and other players for a more colorful selection. Where do you sit there? You have a choice.
I think that the stripes on the Firebirds jerseys that point towards the middle of the chest are a little bit strange.
Well, I was talking about the cleats.
Ah,
What's your cleat selection with the white-on-white jersey? For me, it's easy. It's white. I always bookend. So if I have the white uniform and the white shorts, I'm going white shoes or white boots if you want to use soccer terminology, and then I'm definitely going with a blue or black sock as the Dolphins have with the black.
the way I would always do it, and it's a little different for me because I was a goalkeeper. I always did black cleats. That was my look. Always wore black socks and black cleats alongside with it. Just felt it looked clean. I forgive my misinterpretation earlier. I was actually really trying to focus on the way that the Dolphins have lined up because I was
We were talking about that pregame.
Yes. A lot of players who are listed on the roster as defenders were slated to start today, and we weren't entirely sure how that would look. And it actually looks like Leandro Angulo, who has been playing center back almost all season, has been moved into the midfield for this game. He's playing defensive midfield today.
So that's a tactical note to open the game for the Dolphins. Now, one final question going back to our previous conversation. Do we have any game film of you playing goalkeeper that we could use on the broadcast?
I don't know if I could access my clips anymore. I'd have to check on the Haverford College Athletics website to see if they're still up there.
That would be a treat for later in the season.
I'll have a look, and I'll see if I can get access to anything. I may have to send a few emails.
Dolphins now with the ball on the foot of Espinoza. Nice dribbling to set up a shot and a Dolphins goal. Miguel Espinoza gives the Dolphins an early 1-0 lead.
What a start, Joe. Really what a start. And it came from almost nothing, just a bit of a scramble at the edge of the 18-yard box. Bodies flying all around, and it just happened to land at your most ideal player's feet. Miguel Espinoza had 5 goals coming into this game, leading the Dolphins team, and he makes a move to his left and does not make a mistake. Puts it right in the far corner. Very difficult for any goalkeeper to save. What a finish, and what a start.
And you said it, Aaron. That goal came seemingly out of nowhere. We're in the midst of talking about your game film. The Dolphins got a very favorable bounce. The ball wound up on the foot of Espinoza, and he drilled that shot past the goalkeeper and into the back of the net for the first goal of the afternoon. Becerra didn't have much of a chance to stop that one, and Espinoza set up that shot with some great dribbling as well. He's been so tough to defend one-on-one, and if you don't get a second marker over there to slow him down, it's hard to prevent him, 1, from getting the ball, as the Dolphins heavily feature him, and 2, once he gets that ball in a position where he can dribble into scoring position, it's really tough to slow him down. Even in the midst of heavy traffic, he manages to get quality shots off, and that last one puts the Dolphins ahead by a single goal. And Aaron, if you're CSI, you couldn't have asked for a better start than that.
No, you could not. And the one thing that CSI has really been missing this season is their talisman striker, that one player that they can always count on to put the ball in the back of the net. And it would be such a huge boost if Espinoza can grow into that player for the Dolphins. And that sort of play, that's what those strikers do. That's exactly what they need.
Nice job by Morris to redirect that ball into the foot of Curlew, but then nearly giving it away was Curlew. That ball just got to Asensio Cueva, and now Angulo finds Espinoza. The flag was not up. If Espinoza had been able to turn there, he gets another quality shot off.
Espinoza feeling hungry.
Morris in the midfield being challenged and forced to give it up. Angulo back to Flores. Flores to his keeper, Amari Thompson.
Flores playing center back today. Very interesting considering his 5'5" stature. Unorthodox.
Dolphins shaking things up a bit in this late season conference matchup. You know they're aware of how much this game means. And all of a sudden, if the Dolphins could come away with a win in today's game, and keep in mind we're only 5.5 minutes into this game, but if you're the Dolphins, of course, you're looking to win out. And if you do so, you control your own destiny. And taking step 1 is a win today.
I'd like to point out that despite UDC's strong record in the conference, they don't exactly have the most convincing track record overall when you break it down.
And I think I might have actually misspoke. Because Damon has played fewer games than CSI, the Dolphins would not control their own destiny, even if they went out. Because Damon could theoretically win out as well. The question is, would that push anyone below the Dolphins? Should CSI win out? And I don't think that would be a sure thing. So Dolphins mathematically don't control their own fate, but a win today would be a huge first step toward a playoff berth. And you know the Dolphins would love to get a second goal and go ahead by a pair, as that ball a bit too strong up the far sideline results in a UDC goal kick.
Big game in terms of playoff implications for all teams towards the bottom half of the standings in the ECC is that Damon game versus Robert Wesleyan. Will be hosted by Roberts Wesleyan. It happens today at 7:30 p.m. So CSI fans should be checking the website this evening to see the result of that matchup. We'll be rooting for Roberts Wesleyan.
4 games on the conference docket today in the ECC. This the first. UDC Staten Island, of course, game we have for you here on Sportsnet is that sent into the box, headed away by the Firebirds, and they will be forced to clear it. They do keep it in the field of play, but Dolphins Firebirds at 3, Deauville Malloy at 4, Stack Queens 7:30, and then that game you just mentioned, Damon at Roberts Wesleyan tonight at 7:30. And as you said, Aaron, fans of the Dolphins will be rooting for the Redhawks in that game as CSI needs to leapfrog Damon, and Damon will have 2 more conference games remaining than CSI once this game concludes. So Dolphins might need some help in that regard. But as I mentioned before, the Wildcats face some tough competition in their final 4 games in conference play. Of those 4 teams they will face, 3 of them are currently in a playoff spot. Dolphins can see to throw as they clear that over their own bench. Firebirds will throw from there. Here comes UDC, working along the far side. That cross sent toward the dot, headed away by Flores, and Angulo sends it into the midfield. Waiting for it was Zachary Parker, but Espinoza was able to secure possession for the Dolphins. Here comes Daniel Angulo for Leandro Angulo. Morris lets it roll through, but Garcia not in position to receive that pass. Instead, it was intercepted. Here come the Firebirds. Gomez watched it roll over the near side. It was knocked away by Garcia. The Firebirds will throw.
Axel Gomez, the real danger player to be watching out here for the Dolphins defense. He's got 7 goals on the season so far. That's tied for 4th best in the conference. So the Firebirds will be looking to get him the ball as much as possible.
Strong tackle there by Leandro Angulo, but he could not keep the ball from traveling over the touchline. Throw for the Firebirds. Taken toward the center of the pitch. It's played right back to Giovanni Oriana. Angulo to Angulo. Redirected with the head. But that contacted the body of Parker. Dolphins wanted a handball. They don't get the call.
From this angle, it looked like it could have been a handball. And it's going to go against the Dolphins there for the same call.
Well, you know the Dolphins didn't like that, and I think head coach Alex Kuba might be making that point, thinking the Dolphins should have been awarded a free kick for the handball just moments before. Free kick here for UDC. Right on the edge of the attacking third as that's sent toward goal and snatched out of the air by Thompson.
Good, confident play from Thompson. Hopefully that can add up to some more good decisions for high balls from the keeper. That's been his one potential weak point so far this season.
Flores up to Curlew. Quick turn. And a nice job by Curlew to keep possession. That ball sent toward Daniel Angulo. It's over his head. And it's chipped in the air by Vargas onto the foot of Espinoza. Espinoza back to Garcia. Garcia, nice move there to avoid a marker. And the pass is intercepted by UDC. Curlew gets a foot in there and disrupts play. He has it. And there's a strong tackle to dispossess Curlew, who goes down. That clearance from point-blank range contacted a Firebird. That was some shot. That one right off of Vasco Irizola. May have knocked the wind out of him.
Oh, man, he took that one squarely to the chest. His teammate didn't even see him.
Well, that certainly beats a headshot, which we've seen before.
Believe me, as a goalkeeper, I know exactly what he's feeling right now, and it's not fun. He should just be happy that it's not colder than it is, because the colder it is, the harder that ball is.
Years ago, we had a pass in a basketball game. One player threw it straight off the head of a teammate. Throw-in coming up here for the Firebirds.
Headers not as encouraged in basketball as they are in soccer.
Certainly not. Friendly fire never encouraged on the pitch or on the court. Thompson thought about rolling it forward instead. We'll roll it to Franklin Sheehu. That ball ends up over the fence. Throw in Staten Island. Just over 12 and a half minutes gone by in this first half. Early goal by Miguel Espinoza. Accounting for the lone score, the Dolphins lead at 1-0.
Firebirds haven't really gotten that much going in the opening stages of this game. Dolphins doing a good job of keeping them at bay. I think they've had a bit of a shock to their system with the early goal. It's kind of taken them away from their initial game plan.
The Espinoza goal, the lone shot in this game. No corners. And a combined 7 fouls between the two sides. Those are all the stats that have been accumulated so far. Sheehu got it away nicely to Espinoza under heavy pressure. Espinoza ensures the Dolphins keep possession. Now Angulo checking over his shoulder, trying to work between a pair of defenders and could not keep the ball on his foot.
A little too slow on the ball there was Angulo. With the way that UDC likes to press, the passes have got to go quick. Got to take advantage of the space before you get closed in on.
Gordillo got rid of it. Cross, center of the box. And Gomez may have had a shot partially blocked. Not sure he got a clean attempt off. As women's soccer receives a souvenir.
That was dangerous, Joe. Firebirds finding gaps. If Gomez had a better touch there, he would have been able to fire a pretty aggressive shot on the half volley.
Fortunately for the Dolphins, no shot. And the Dolphins look to work through the midfield. CSI dispossessed. And we have a foul whistled against Leandro Angulo. Very similar spot to the last free kick. Thompson snagged the ball out of the air last time the Firebirds attempted a free kick from the spot.
Bit of a needless foul there from Leandro Angulo, although he knew exactly what he was doing. Trying to prevent an attack.
Left-footed free kick by Bouguet over the head of Santiago Gordillo. And it will be a goal kick for Staten Island. Over 15 minutes gone by in the first half now.
Want to shout out Leandro Angulo, by the way. Today he's making his 45th start for the Dolphins. So congratulations to Leandro Angulo. 45 starts.
He has been one of the centerpieces of this Dolphins team since joining. And continues to make a major impact game in and game out as Espinoza looked to increase his impact on this game with that last through ball. But too much traffic for Garcia to bring it in cleanly. And Leandro Angulo sends that one past William Lopez and out of play. Throw in Firebirds.
The Dolphins are finding lanes in their attacks. The motions are correct. The runs are good. If they keep doing what they're doing, they're going to find more shooting opportunities.
And not only have they done a good job on the attack, but Firebirds really haven't had any chances, though I may have just engaged the commentator's jinx. Here comes Gomez working toward the center of the pitch! And the commentator's jinx has been engaged, Aaron. What a strike by Gomez. And he scores to even up the score at 1. What have I done, Aaron?
That's unbelievable. That is truly unbelievable. The commentator's jinx is real.
Certainly is, if I'm speaking.
Really nothing much to say other than what a finish there by Gomez. Michael Garcia got sucked in there, and it left space in behind. Ball was played forward to their best player. He cut inside to his right foot, and nothing Amari Thompson could do. Really well-placed shot into the upper right-hand corner. And we are back to square one, Joe.
That really was a tremendous shot. He was able to bend that ball just inside the far post. Thompson got there, but there's nothing he could have done. It was really a perfect shot.
All you can really say is, thankful that the shot only brought things level instead of putting the Dolphins behind.
Angulo wanted Espinoza, and Espinoza ends up with the ball anyway. He's moving in and could not fool the defender with that dribbling. As Espinoza draws a crowd, and they show him a yellow card. He can't believe it.
That does seem a bit excessive. I don't think that was necessary.
The
yellow
agree.
Card.
I completely agree with you. I didn't see much there.
Further than that, I didn't think it was necessary for so many people to come crowd around Espinoza. He clearly was not trying to do anything malicious.
I didn't see much, and we're far. We used to be right at midfield calling the action. I don't believe you've ever had that experience with us anyway, Aaron, but back years ago when we were down at midfield, it was much easier to pick up nuances like that, whether it be instruction from the sideline, how aggressive a particular tackle was. Sometimes it's tough to tell from way up here in the booth, but I think it's fair to say I didn't see much there at all.
Unless there was a subtle jab of the elbow or something was said, which we can't rule out.
Of course.
It seemed more like Espinoza just lost control of the ball and was trying really hard to keep the chance alive.
That yellow card, the first booking of the game for either team. Several Dolphins have accumulated a number of yellow cards, and that one hurts, Aaron. That's number 5 on Espinoza.
He's going to miss a game due to accumulation, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Well, I suppose you can put it this way, where the one game where he's going to miss is winless Duville. Of all the games on the schedule, that is probably one of the more favorable matchups to sit out.
Daniel Angulo is also sitting at 4 yellow cards right now. So he needs to be careful.
Coming into this game, the Dolphins were tied for the most yellow cards in the conference at 34, and they held sole position of first place in red cards at 3.
Entering today's game, they had 2 players with 4, 1 with 3, and 4 with 2 in terms of yellow cards. And you said it, 3 red cards as well. Firebirds have evened up the score with just over 25 minutes to play in this first half, and now it seems like UDC has really begun to find their footing, and they've been able to generate some more time on the attack. Espinoza with a threatening chance not too long ago ahead of that yellow card. And not only does he have to worry about what will be a one-game suspension for accumulation in the next game. But in this game, he has to be careful, as it's still relatively early. And we have a whistle and a foul against the Firebirds here.
Foul called against number 2, Dennis Meza-Baez. Didn't really see that much contact on that call, to be honest, but helps relieve pressure for the Dolphins.
Flores sends that ball a long way up toward Curlew. And off the header, Curlew brings it in. Garcia. For Morris. Back to Flores. Flores. Again with a long ball. The nearest Dolphin is Garcia. And the Firebirds content to head that one over the sideline. Garcia will throw. On a bounce, he threw it toward Curlew. It's immediately sent the other way by the Firebirds. Throw in UDC now. Firebirds will position themselves for this throw-in. Oriana throws it short. Breguet back to his keeper, Becerra. Becerra, long ball. Up toward the far sideline into the attacking third. Here comes UDC now. Daniel. Cross, a strong one. It ends up in the corner, but UDC unable to keep that one in. Dolphins will throw now. Once again, it goes to Morris on a bounce. It's redirected toward midfield. Angulo has it. Chance here for the Dolphins. Morris. Looked like he tried to skip that one over to Espinoza. But the touch sent the ball backward, and now Garcia has space along the touchline. He will cross toward Espinoza. And once again, the ball is cleared over the near side.
Really nice reverse pass from Daniel Angulo there. Garcia needs a better delivery, though. He didn't get strong contact, scuffed that.
Garcia looking to throw. Angulo took a push. Tried to send it to Garcia with the heel. And UDC will escape their own end as they earn a throw.
Angulo was hoping for the foul call there with the push in his back. Did not get it. Kind of left him stuck.
Here comes Breguet across midfield, and that ball was not deflected. Throw in for the Dolphins.
Be on the lookout for that more. These UDC center backs are enterprising. They'll dribble. They'll look forwards. They'll play long. They're good on the ball.
Looks like the Dolphins may have committed a violation on the throw-in, perhaps, unless we had a foul.
It's got to be a foul with the ball on the ground. If it was a foul throw, it would just be a throw in the other way.
Free kick from just beyond the midfield stripe now for UDC. Taken toward the top of the box, and it was headed away by Lopez, now Espinoza. Espinoza avoids two challenges, working back toward his own goal. Now Flores, and Espinoza's down. And I think Leandro Angulo might have been petitioning for a booking there after Espinoza received a yellow card at the other end. And the head official was having none of it.
I believe that's correct. The phrase I heard was stop, 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 stop.
I heard that too. Definitely was petitioning for something more. No booking on the play. Free kick for the Dolphins results in this ball bouncing around the midfield, and Dolphins secure it in good position. Espinoza toward Morris, and it's covered up on the dive by Becerra. There were a lot of bodies in the area there, and you have to have good confidence in your keeper to let that ball roll.
It was good play by the left back for UDC, number 20, Giovanni Orellana. He was well positioned. He was privy to the ball and behind. He reacted well, and he was able to shield the ball, allowing the goalkeeper to come pick it up. That's good defending.
Nicely done by UDC. 1 goal per side through nearly 26 minutes. Also just 1 shot per side. Sheehu sends one right off a UDC attacker. And Gordillo with a miscommunication there. I think that was he and Daniel not on the same page. Dolphins will throw here. Asensio Cueva tried to clear it, could not. Firebirds getting head on the ball more than once in that sequence, and they earn a throw.
Not entirely sure what's going on here. Referees are pointing to something on Irizola's legs. He was scratching them. I've never seen anything quite like that.
I was trying to figure out what was going on, too. I thought maybe there could have been some blood, but that wouldn't have been the reaction.
No.
To rub your hands all over it.
I thought it maybe had something to do with the shin guards, but they didn't touch their shin guards. Extremely unusual.
Not sure. There's a brief delay nonetheless, and the Dolphins now looking to move across midfield, send the ball back toward Angulo. Gomez the first to it. Wanted to play a man through, could not get it to his attacker. And now the Dolphins have possession once again. That was Meza Baez on the run. Gomez looking for him on the pass. There's another interception in the midfield, this time by UDC, and here come the Firebirds. Gomez, strong touch. Garcia is there. Cross toward the far post. And Asensio Cueva got ahead on it. There was a Firebird in position, but Asensio Cueva knew where he was and was able to cut him off.
2 important things that the Dolphins have to focus on going forward. 1, they cannot let Gomez shoot again. Michael Garcia did a good job of ushering Gomez wide and making sure he couldn't get onto that right foot. The other thing is they have to be smarter on the ball. UDC loves to control possession. Once CSI gets on the ball, they've got to be smart and make the most of every opportunity when they have it.
Ball taken away by the Firebirds once again. Daniel working toward the far side, gets rid of it. And he gets it right back. Asensio Cueva there defensively. And Sheehu has the takeaway. Espinoza had it knocked away from him. Angulo over to Garcia. Garcia for Morris. Morris back to Angulo. Angulo was pursued by Gordillo, gave it up for Flores. And the Dolphins will slow things down a bit. Sheehu. Not quite sure what to do with it. You heard Flores exclaim, open up to his teammates when he had the ball. And now Thompson will send it across midfield. Morris there waiting. Knocks it down. And immediately Oriana pounced on it. And Alex Morris is shown the yellow card.
He got a little bit frustrated there. He kicked, I think it was Oriana, just because he couldn't, control the ball the way that he wanted. But that sort of lapse in judgment can become costly if you accumulate enough of those infractions.
For Morris, that's his second yellow card of the season. Ball played toward the far side by Begay. Parker was met by Curlew near that ball. It ends up over the far side, down around the corner. Throwing for the Firebirds as we approach 14 minutes to play in the first half. Thrown by UDC. Not being given much room to work here. And that foul occurred maybe a foot outside of the box as Leandro Angulo was whistled for another one.
It's a bold call by the referee. He must have seen something that we could not see from our distanced angle. It looked like a relatively clean tackle. Obviously it wasn't.
Without a doubt, this free kick coming up to be taken from a very dangerous spot right outside of the penalty box. Firebirds gathering right around the center of the penalty area. 5 black jerseys in that region as that one sails over everything. Not sure if that was a cross attempt for that back post or a shot gone wrong.
I'm not sure either, but I'm thankful that it didn't end up in anything more threatening because based on my judgment and experience, the positioning of Amari Thompson on that free kick was essentially the opposite of what I would advise or do myself. He was sitting near the front post, almost behind his wall, whereas most often you would see a goalkeeper situated near the far post, relying on the wall to cover the near.
And maybe the way that ball traveled could have been an overcompensation for his positioning, trying to target that back post and the far side of goal. As there's a good touch by Espinoza, but he was met by Oriana. He was marking an attacker along the near side, saw Espinoza get around one defender, and immediately came over to make sure that Espinoza was dispossessed.
By the way, sneaking under the radar, it seems as though Alex Morris has been subbed off.
Yes, he was. He's actually walking off behind goal right now. You see him over there. But Fortunuzo checked in. Sometimes it's very easy to miss those subs when they walk off on the near side and go around the pitch because we can't see them on the near sideline.
No, we cannot.
Without leaning into the window, we can't see anything on the near side.
No, we cannot. Moving to the right side in place of Alex Morris is William Lopez, who was on the left wing. Fortunuzo taking up that space on the left now. We know the type of pace that he can bring to the game.
Fresh legs for the Dolphins with under 11 and a half minutes to go in the first half. Uzo got that ball to Angulo, but Angulo a bit strong on that first touch, sent it over the far side. Throwing coming up for the Firebirds. If I'm not mistaken, UDC yet to make a substitution in this game. Long throw. Bouncing toward the corner, and she who sends it in the air is headed back the other way onto the foot of Leandro Angulo. Espinoza for Lopez. Lopez works toward the center of the pitch. Finds Angulo. Redirected for Asensio Cueva. Asensio Cueva into the box. It's over Uzo's head, and a foul is called.
Looks like William Lopez must have impeded the clearance attempt there. It's a shame because there was an opportunity to take down that second ball and continue the attacking opportunity.
Ball bouncing toward Amari Thompson. And he has it no problem. 10 minutes to go in the first half from Dolphins Soccer Park. This game got off to a very hot start. Quick goal, less than 4 minutes in. The Firebirds then responded with a goal of their own, and we remain tied at 1. Goals in the 4th minute and the 17th minute. As we have a foul in the midfield. This time the call will go against UDC. And the head official is not taking kindly to any protests.
That is a surprising call by the referee because Daniel Angulo kind of slithered in there and forced some contact. The referee felt like there was a bit of a push there. I believe that was the signal with the extension of the arm.
Flores up ahead. Uzo and Angulo both in the area for the Dolphins, but the Firebirds first to get to it, as Flores is definitely going to receive a card for that. There's no question.
And once again, he knew what he was doing with that decision. He was essentially asking for the card. He knew he was out of position and was just trying to stop the counterattack. It's unfortunate, but
the Dolphins have been shown 3 yellow cards already in this game. Still just 1 shot per side. Both have found the back of the net. Clock was stopped at 9:02 as the Firebirds take the free kick. That one redirected near the top of the box, but it's cleared away by the Dolphins. Another throw-in coming up for UDC, and the Firebirds are about to make their first substitution of the game. Looks like number 15, Anthony Diaz, the substitution for UDC. 8.5 to go, first half. Bouguet working up the near side, sends one high into the air. And that comes to rest in the arms of Thompson. There was a collision in the box. Shehu and Gordillo came together. Gordillo went down. Flores gets it away to Garcia. Garcia avoids Gomez and sends it back to Flores. UDC applying pressure. Angulo gets another pass away, but it is taken along the near side by Diaz, and UDC earns a throw. Throw-in goes to Bouguet. Ball on the foot of Oriana near side. Firebirds keep it, and Curlew takes it back for the Dolphins. Curlew worked through a pair of defenders, could not get through a third. Oriana, that one redirected by Gordillo, pops up in the air, and now Gomez gives chase. Gomez got it away. Gordillo looking for Gomez. It was broken up. And now Curlew gets a running start. He sends one toward Uzo. Uzo working against Vargas. They get tangled up, and that's a whistle against Uzo.
that's unfortunate for Uzo. He just lost out in the battle initially, and once it got doubled up, he really was left with no choice but to commit a foul with the way the bodies were flying.
And that looked like a contest to see which player could get lower, while at the same time maintaining their footing.
Firebirds being a little bit wasteful with their long balls, overhitting them too often. Amari Thompson very thankful for that, I'm sure.
Ball along the far side with the Dolphins. That was headed by Parker. And here come the Firebirds again. Asensio Cueva got a foot on that one, and the shot is into the arms of Thompson. Non-threatening chance there. Asensio Cueva. And now Uzo really picked up the pace, working toward the touchline, but stumbled a bit and lost possession. This is Angulo on the cross. Espinoza, the nearest Dolphin, it didn't get to him, and the Firebirds clear.
Well, that was the best attacking prospect, really, that the Dolphins have had since their goal. And that's saying something because it didn't even result in a shot.
As I mentioned before, haven't seen many shots. That last save by Thompson came on just the third shot of the game. First two scored. That third one from a long way out, a non-threatening chance, and Thompson easily was able to grab it out of the air. That ball a bit too long for Oriana, who gave chase. The throw-in goes right over his head. Now Espinoza had it knocked away. Throw in Staten Island once again. Garcia throws toward Espinoza. That one may have gone over his foot. He's being shielded off the ball. And the Dolphins will earn a corner. That didn't need to happen if you're UDC.
No, the ball deflected off of Bugay's heel. He was talking to the linesman about some unnecessary contact, but as a big center back, you got to be able to shield that out.
I think he was helped into the ball, but why not give it a shot if you're the Dolphins in that spot? And it earns CSI the corner. Lopez and Angulo both standing near the corner, and they are not happy with the positioning of the UDC defenders. Now we have some jawing going around near goal, and finally we have the corner kick. That one taken toward the near post, and we'll see if they stop the clock here. Instead, we have a yellow card. Dennis, there's a Baez. It's going to be a throw-in for the Dolphins. No free kick. Foul occurred after the ball had traveled over the touchline.
Angulo knew what he was doing.
He sure did.
Being a bit of an instigator. He's very clever that way.
There was an initial collision. Angulo retaliated as there were some good hands by Becerra. But Angulo retaliated after the initial contact, and Meza Baez did not take kindly to Angulo's retaliation and put a little bit more behind his shoulder check, and he got caught. Angulo did not, or that could have been a yellow card on him.
It's always a risk when you do things like that. Angulo usually is pretty savvy about it.
If you're Angulo, that's a big chance you're taking. Angulo entered the day with 4 yellows. We have just over 2 minutes to play in the first half.
There is some strategy to it, Joe. When you know you're on 4 yellows and you're going to miss on your next, sometimes when you know what your next matchup is, you sort of angle towards that yellow card to get the suspension out of the way.
That's a good point you make, Aaron. You said it before. Dolphins face winless Deauville in their next game, but how many players could they afford to be without going into that matchup? As of right now, they are without Miguel Espinoza, barring any scoring changes.
It's all about risk and reward, Joe. You know, you much rather miss Espinoza and Angulo for next game than miss Angulo for the final game against Malloy.
Completely agreed, as that was headed into the arms of Thompson again.
That being said, he hasn't gotten his 5th yellow card yet, and there's definitely a high likelihood he's not thinking about it that way, but he might be.
Dolphins work it through the midfield with 1 minute to go in the first half. Angulo moves forward and is taken down from behind. Gomez tripped him up. Clock continues to run. We approach 40 seconds to go in the half. Angulo preparing to take this free kick. Whistle blows. Free kick on its way. And it's grabbed out of the air by Becerra. Becerra launches one across midfield. Isaiah Daniel, his intended target. He chips it in the air. And Daniel is down. Clock stopped at 18 seconds.
I'm not sure what the ref's deciding here. I don't really see it being a yellow card. Once again, I'm not really...
Sheehy got a yellow, Aaron. He just gave him a yellow card for that. And if you're the Dolphins, not only do you hate to concede a free kick in this spot with 18 seconds to go, but you're doing so immediately following a free kick of your own at the other end.
Yeah, it's poor from the Dolphins. The delivery from Daniel Angulo was not good, didn't give his players a chance. Straight to the goalkeeper and allowing for a counterattack. You committed a lot of bodies forward for that free kick, anticipating that it might be the last attack of the half. No, sir. Instead, it's the Firebirds.
18 seconds remaining in the first half. Score even at 1. UDC with a free kick and a chance to potentially take the lead. Two officials conversing with one another right now as they move back the Dolphins' wall. 3 players on that wall up near the corner of the penalty box. Thompson directing traffic from in goal. Free kick on its way, bending around the near post, and that should do it for the first half. Final seconds will tick off the clock here at Dolphin Soccer Park, and we will go to halftime with the College of Staten Island and the University of the District of Columbia knotted up at 1. When we come back, the second half of this East Coast Conference men's soccer matchup.
I feel like as a player, I've grown so much with this group and with my coaches, and my game has just elevated a lot more than it would have anywhere else, to be honest. So I'm just so grateful to be able to play with this team. And just being able to play in Division I soccer week in, week out, it's just getting the best of both worlds, having the opportunity to get a degree. You really have to appreciate what you have. And there's so many kids around the world that don't get these opportunities, so you have to take advantage of it for sure.
If I lose, I'll respond with respect.
If I win, I'll back it up with humility.
If I fail, I'll rise up with honor. It's tough for us to put it all on the line.
Don't undo my hard work with poor sportsmanship.
Respect. It's the name of the game.
My dad was a soccer coach and bought this little book bag. I could sit in the book bag like facing backwards and look like my legs out. So I'd be in his book bag when my dad coaches and the ball's going around. I'm like kicking at the ball in the back and my dad's like, we have a prodigy. So he put me into soccer and it just progressed from there. The catalyst was the opportunity to play soccer at a Division II school. I loved the team. They brought me in like I was one of their own. The professors help out so much. They actually care about developing me, not only so I just memorize the material and able to take a test, but am I able to apply the information. I don't feel nervous asking them, hey, I'm not going to be in class, can you send me something? And they're completely fine with it and they understand, which is the best part. On my team, I thrive to work as hard as I can. I mean, whatever you do on the field, there's a positive correlation to whatever else you do. Be it personal relationships, homework, the way you carry yourself. I'm able to go out and become president of the Student Athletic Advisory Committee. SAC is consistent of like a ton of different backgrounds, and we'll come up with cool ideas for like fundraisings, and having the opportunity to raise money for Make-A-Wish and knowing it's going towards a good cause not only motivates me, but it motivates the whole community. I've changed since I got to King University. It's really helped me to develop as a leader. I think it's honestly the best thing that's ever happened.
Dear soccer, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be in this position today.
Thank you for being something that is more than just my sport.
Soccer really is the beautiful game, and it will take you more places and give you more experiences than you could have ever dreamed of.
The people that I owe the most to are my teammates. They have been my crutch to lean on, shoulder to cry on, my hype woman in times of doubt, and my best friends day in and day out.
You get to wake up every day and play the sport you love at one of the highest levels at a prestigious university surrounded by your best friends. There is simply no better feeling.
You have given me my best friends, my most trusted mentors, and the most essential experiences of my young life. You are my community. With you, there is no race, no gender, no rich, and no poor. There is just a ball, 2 goals, and a common language.
Thank you for teaching me how to be a strong and courageous woman on and off the field.
Thank you for giving me hope for the future.
On the soccer field, I found a home. That is where I have always belonged.
I've learned a lot of things. I think one of the biggest things is how to cope with people, because I think that at the University of Virginia, and just as you keep moving on in life, you're going to keep meeting many more people. And I think all of the connections that I've made just at the University of Virginia they've become a big part of me. I think even the guys on the team, I consider some of them my family. I mean, I wake up in the morning at 6 in the morning, I'm spending time with them all the way up till 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. And I think that's one of the bigger things that I've learned is the relationships that I build with people, whether it be on the soccer field and off the soccer field, because even classmates at University of Virginia are some people I consider some of my best friends. And I definitely think connections with people and the bonds that you build with people that I know are going to carry on with me through my entire life, it's definitely some of the bigger lessons I've learned.
Champions know how to seize opportunities. When they see moments of greatness unfold right before their eyes, they push as hard as they possibly can, and then they push harder. Because the heart of a champion never settles, never quits, and never stops giving its all. We are champions. We are Division II. We go big, we give it everything we've got, and we win. On the field, on our campuses, in our communities, for our causes, in our careers. We rise to become champions in everything we do. We are Division II, and there are no limits here. We make our time count. We set our own path. We become champions on our terms. It's time to up your game, because we're here to play and learn. But most importantly, we're here to discover ourselves, our vision, our heart, our drive, to achieve every goal we aim for, because we want to be champions at the highest level, life. At Division II, the opportunities are here. Are you ready?
I can't describe how much I learned as a player, but also as a human being, because you have to overcome challenges that you don't face in other areas. As part of the NCAA and obviously the college system itself, being a student athlete, there's so many challenges that not everybody else can relate to, and you have to try to excel in both areas. And now eventually you'll become a leader. Like in my case, I kind of had to step up into that role, and I feel like I've embraced that challenge. And now I love the spot where I am right now. I love how I've matured, become a leader, become the captain of the team, and hopefully I can help the rest of the guys win the Natty.
I I was the kid who would do surgery on my teddy bear and like have my sister be my patient, and I would wear the stethoscope and the lab coat. I was that kid. Wayne State Medical School has been my dream medical school since I was 5. Dr. News, who is the head of the biology department, definitely has had a huge impact over the past 2 years I've been in the lab. He took a chance on me and actually gives me the power to actually do things. Athletics are important, but so is service, so is research, so is becoming a better person. And we expect you to do well athletically, but don't forget the reason you're here, which is to give back to your community and to get good grades. I've had so many experiences with underprivileged people and just seeing that they want the basic things that people get out of life. And if I can help in any way, that just kind of warms my heart. That's why I want to be a doctor, to serve those who have been dealt a bad hand. It was my sophomore indoor season. It was the first year with our new head coach. And he comes in and he's like, we could be a national contending team if you guys work hard. And I heard him and I was like, well, I want to be a national champion. I want to be an All-American. And I bought in because he bought into our team. And I qualified to go to indoor nationals. It was just because I bought into myself, because someone bought into me. I decided I wanted it, so I went and grabbed it.
Dear Soccer, there are no words to describe my love, admiration, and appreciation for you. From the moment I was brought onto this earth, you were all I knew. You have been with me and have seen me from a young little boy in Brazil to a well-rounded man in America. From all the days and nights kicking the ball at walls, breaking everything at home and making my mom upset, sleeping with a ball under my arms, making fun of my dad for beating him by 1 goal, never imagined that he will let me in just to see me smile. You were there for me. You were there with me. When we are together, nothing else matters. It's me and you. It's like the whole world disappears. Everything goes away, and we just enjoy it. I have always given you my all, my very best. Soccer, you have brought me to a place outside of my comfort zone, gave me an opportunity to live out my dream, and introduced me to my mentors, my role models, and most importantly, my family. You have been my teacher, my biggest fan, my biggest critic, and my best friend. With you, I was able to accomplish milestones that I'll always be proud, experience moments that I'll never forget, make memories that I'll forever remember, and live the life that I always dream about. So thank you. Thank you for turning the little boy who used to break things into the house to the man that I am today. There are no words to describe my love, admiration, and appreciation for you. But there are words to describe the feelings that I have right now, playing in a Final Four, with the greatest team, the greatest coaching staff, with the greatest university, and with the greatest fans. Nothing will ever compare or measure up to this moment. We're not done. I hope to still have you with me for a long time and live many more great memories together. Thank you, soccer.
Good afternoon, soccer fans, and welcome back to the College of Staten Island. We are about to embark on the second half of a very important conference matchup between your home Dolphins and the visiting Firebirds of the University of the District of Columbia. The Dolphins jumped out to an early lead about 2.5 minutes into the game. Espinoza putting the Dolphins ahead, and unfortunately their lead didn't hold for very long as Axel Gomez from the Firebirds put in a very impressive long-range effort. And after that, there really wasn't much attack from either team. It was very cagey. Not really much in the way of shots, head-on goals. So it went into the half, scores 1-1, and that's where we stand right now. Second half is now underway. And one thing that I'd like to highlight going forwards that will be very important for the Dolphins in possession is Leandro Angulo. He currently is the defensive midfielder, and I think it's pretty clear that his purpose is just to break up play in front of the back four. His purpose is primarily defensive. However, he's occupying the space that's normally occupied by the other Angulo, Daniel Angulo. And out of possession, that is not a problem. But in possession, Daniel Angulo is usually the person to drop into those spaces and give himself an option for the defenders to pass to. And Leandro Angulo just isn't as adept at finding those spaces and being a passing option and being press resistant. And it's creating a problem when the Dolphins are trying to progress out of the back line. They just don't have that passing option in Daniel Angulo. He's too far up the pitch. And Leandro Angulo just doesn't do the same job. And so if Daniel Angulo can maybe drop back a little bit and create an option, as Uzo has the ball here in the box, Dolphins trying to fashion a shot. Here's Espinoza. Daniel Angulo trying to play to William Lopez. Clearance actually ends up more central. Angulo tackles. Espinoza tried to make a move, and Firebirds are going to come away with the ball.
Thanks for taking over, Aaron. It was that time of day again where I had to head into the room next door and help them with the starters for the second half. We do go down to midfield and get the second half starters, but we've gotten the incorrect 11 far too many times this year, so we just make sure we eyeball it. And in terms of eyeballing our players, I'm able to do it without the numbers, so I lent myself to them next door. And we're back here on Sportsnet for the remainder of the game as that ball rolls toward the foot of Daniel Angulo. Angulo toward the top of the box. Espinoza sends one high and wide, up and over the fence. Goal kick UDC.
Espinoza trying to open up and find a route to that far corner, but Jonathan Vargas doing a really good job of making sure he had no angle for that. Espinoza went for it anyway, but there was just no shot that that ball was going to find the target.
Well, that ball was sent into orbit, up and over the fence. There's another long kick from goalkeeper Sergio Becerra, headed by Asensio Cueva in the other direction. It was cut off by Irazola, who plays it back toward midfield. Mezabaya's dispossessed. Asensio Cueva for Uzo. Uzo works around Diaz. Now working against Parker. Uzo waiting for some help. He has Angulo. Angulo looked to spin. He goes down. Uzo is also down. And Asensio Cueva now down, grabbing at his hamstring. He's up quickly. What a recovery.
The lack of a whistle has magical healing powers sometimes.
We've seen that plenty this year. Fight for possession along the far side results in a Dolphins throw.
Lopez has got to do more of that in defense. Double down on Gomez and just give him no space to breathe. And that way he can't, hurt you as much as he could with just single coverage.
Aaron Lopez was subbed out before the start of the second half. Raul Naranjo came in his place.
Apologies. Can't see those numbers across the field.
Can't blame you. Angulo, top of the box. Has Espinoza. Now Angulo got caught moving toward the touchline when he received that ball back from Espinoza. But those two playing off one another very well. Throw in here for the Dolphins. Just over 5 minutes elapsed in the second half. Throw in goes to Leandro Angulo. It rolled awkwardly off his foot, forcing him to play it back toward midfield. And Shehu was fouled. Gordillo didn't like that call. He's looking at the lines judge, and he's telling him that's not my call. Ball sent in toward the box by Naranjo, headed back to midfield. Naranjo will throw. And instead, we'll hand it off to Garcia for the throw. Throw reaches Uzo and deflected off of him over the touchline once again. Throw into the midfield, contacted by a Firebird and then two Dolphins. Parker sends it up in the air. And that one's booted back the other way by Sheehu. Angulo chips one ahead toward Uzo. That's a good ball on target. Uzo had a streak in Curlew, but the ball was just a bit short. Angulo tried to shoot it on the volley and could not. Now Leandro Angulo sends one into the box. It's knocked away. Headed in the air. Angulo chips it toward Uzo again. Uzo settles underneath it, finally corrals it, and plays it back to Asensio Cueva, who crosses, and it's knocked up in the air by the Firebirds. Headed by Meza Baez, and it rolls over the touchline.
Bit of chaos.
Quite a bit. That one played through the legs of Parker, but it's still a giveaway nonetheless. And the Firebirds will send it all the way back toward Dolphin goalkeeper Amari Thompson. Flores for Naranjo. Back to Angulo. Angulo for Angulo along the near side. Daniel works toward the center of the pitch. He has some space. And he wanted Uzo. And he really put a lot on that ball. I think Uzo stopped his run to prevent himself from going off sides.
It's a nice idea from Daniel Angulo. He's always looking for that reverse pass back from the direction he came from. That just had a little bit too much on it. I think even if Uzo was in the middle of making a run, would have been very difficult for him to control that and maintain his path.
Goal kick UDC. Ball still in the air. And finally, Daniel gets it on his foot. And Sheehu is forced to spill it over the touchline. Dolphins will concede a corner kick. First corner of the game for the Firebirds. Dolphins had a corner kick earlier.
If the Dolphins can escape from this opportunity unscathed, it could be a good chance for them to counter.
We will certainly be on the lookout for that. As that's sent toward goal, swatted down by Thompson, and then batted off the goal line by the Dolphins goalkeeper.
What a moment. Holy moly.
Thompson, rather than catching it, not sure he was able to with all that traffic, was forced to swat down at the ball with both hands. It ended up contacting a body in front, could have easily rebounded in, and then he swung at it with his right hand and was able to knock it away.
Dangerous. Very, very dangerous moment, but as a goalkeeper, as long as you're keeping it out of the net, you're doing your job.
Dolphins now have a goal kick here as we approach 10 minutes gone by in the second half. Only 3 shots in this game, but it has been a very entertaining 55 minutes so far from Dolphin Soccer Park. These two teams going back and forth. And a foul called in the midfield. And you could see, anticipating the contact, Oriana covered up there. You could sense that coming.
There were a few complaints from the Dolphins bench, but it was a late challenge from Naranjo.
Ball rolling toward the Dolphins bench, and the Firebirds do keep it in play, but now CSI has it in a good spot. And Uzo was dispossessed, touched it for just a brief moment. Never really had full control, as the Dolphins will throw in.
That's poor awareness from Uzo, Joe. He's got to know that the defender's right on him. He seemed to not really have an idea of where the players were around him.
Espinoza Naranjo. Back to Espinoza. And miscommunication there between Shehu and Angulo. And that could result in a chance for UDC. Cross interrupted by Asensio Cueva. And the Dolphins clear. It looked like Angulo told Shehu to hold off, but then didn't sprint after the ball.
The last thing the Dolphins need is to be the architects of their own demise.
Well, the last thing the Dolphins needed was for a clean shot there. Amari Thompson wasn't happy as he calls for a ball from the near side.
At the very least, you got to make the Firebirds earn their opportunities and earn their goals. Especially if you're looking to make it towards the playoffs. Can't be giving up opportunities based on your own silly mistakes.
We've spoken about it many times already this game, of the utmost importance to the Dolphins. It also is an important game to UDC as they vie for a first-round bye in the East Coast Conference Tournament. Once you're in the playoffs, anything can happen. Those byes so valuable. And the Firebirds with a big opportunity to work toward that with a victory. Dolphins now have it in the midfield. And that's skied up into the air by Vargas. Players still waiting for it to come down. It finally does. And the Firebirds have possession. Gomez giving chase. Goes down to the turf, and the Dolphins come away with the ball. Naranjo. Or Curlew. Curlew. Stops and goes, and then stops again. Parker all over him. Garcia back to Curlew. Too strong on the pass. Dolphins wanted to throw in there. Looked like they believed Arizola went over the touchline. Clock stopped. And a Dolphin is down. I believe that's Naranjo.
Looks like he's got his hands on that left hamstring. It's been giving him problems recently this season, and it's not a positive sign. Might have been part of the reason why he wasn't starting. It's because he wasn't 100% confident in that left hamstring, and he seems to be in a lot of pain right now.
Well, I've been fortunate to have never suffered a hamstring injury, but I will tell you that when the hamstrings are sore, whether it be from a workout or exerting myself, back in the day when I did exert myself playing sports, those really linger, and of course hamstring injuries have the potential to linger and to trouble you for an entire season, especially in a game like soccer where you're running up and down the pitch for sometimes upwards of 70 minutes. Naranjo back to his feet, limping toward the bench.
I don't think we're going to see him again this game. You can only hope that he can get himself to a position where he'll be available. Maybe not against Deauville, but potentially against Malloy. And that's a real shame for him. He's got to be extremely frustrated.
Dolphins with 10 days ahead of that season finale against the Lions. A point from today's game is a good first step toward making that game mean plenty. Firebirds will throw. Clock restarts at just over 32 minutes remaining as the Firebirds wanted a foul call. That would have resulted in a penalty kick. They don't get it. And now the Dolphins look to head back the other way. Espinoza with a nice job to chip that in the air and just keep going. Espinoza still has it. He's moving in. He shoots and he scores! Miguel Espinoza goes coast to coast, and the Dolphins lead it 2-1.
What a play. What a sequence. Holy moly, Joe. First off, great job from Amari Thompson releasing that ball quickly to Daniel Angulo, who was not in extremely favorable position, but he flicked it over his head to Espinoza, who then flicked it over yet another defender. The creativity there very impressive, and all of a sudden he's off to the races. Angulo in front of him trying to create space. There was a second of mix-up where you thought maybe the chance would go because they couldn't decide who would take the ball, but it fell back to Espinoza, and his shot was deflected by a defender, and they'll be very thankful for that deflection because it made sure that the goalie could not have a chance at saving it, and it put the ball in the back of the net at the near post, and all of a sudden the Dolphins have themselves a lead with about 30 minutes to go in this game, Joe.
Huge goal for the Dolphins and for Miguel Espinoza. That is his second of the game. We were talking about Earl Naranjo and being one of the newcomers. He's had a huge impact from this Dolphins team. Unfortunately, he was just lost to an injury, but Espinoza, another newcomer who has had a huge impact since arriving here at the College of Staten Island, the team's leading goal scorer, and a player that has had an impact for several years here at CSI. Daniel Angulo also involved in that play, played a major part in generating that goal-scoring opportunity, and ultimately the Dolphins do take the one-goal lead on the score by Espinoza.
Now the Dolphins are going to be happy to slow things down, which really works in their favor because the Firebirds favor a slow pace of play generally. They like to hold possession and wait for their moment to attack, but they're not going to be able to do that if they want a result from this game.
Dolphins look like they have a little extra spring in their step right now. Angulo slipped that ball through to Uzo, but he was offsides.
Emphasis is all going to be on how cleanly can the Dolphins play from here on out in possession. It's been a little bit sloppy in this second half. Misplaced passes, players not quite on the same page. It even happened on the goal-scoring sequence between Uzo and Espinoza. So, the number one thing they cannot do is have another miscommunication, a costly mistake that allows for a good shooting opportunity.
Here come the Firebirds. Chance for a cross here. And they ran out of space along the touchline. The ball still in play. And the Dolphins look to move quickly into the midfield. They cannot, as the pass was a bit too strong toward Morris, and UDC has it once again. That ball sent to the attacking third. Quick turn. Perhaps an opportunity for a wide shot. Instead, that is saved by Thompson. Misplayed initially, and Thompson gets on top of it. What an opportunity for Dennis Mezabayez.
He had a lot of space here on the near side, Joe. If only he had picked a corner, it could have been a big problem, but instead he fired a shot directly at Amari Thompson, who we know is going to be equal to it. But they got to be careful in their marking, the CSI defenders. They left him open. Left back, Asensio Cueva, has got to keep an eye on his back shoulder.
Asensio Cueva trying to clear the ball away. Whiffed on it, got a small piece, and Thompson was then able to dive on top of it. But you could see how much attention Gomez drew in anticipation of a shot, and that led to the lapse that allowed Mezabayez to get open. There's a strong tackle by Garcia. Ball still with UDC, but not for long, as the Dolphins will throw.
This is going to be a huge gut check, Joe. How hard can the Dolphins work to keep this lead?
Dolphins 28 minutes and 20 seconds away from their first conference win, and they need it in a big way. If CSI can win this game, that revitalizes their playoff hopes. And they've played well today. In several of their conference games, the Dolphins have really struggled to score. On the board twice this afternoon, Espinoza wanted to make it 3, but he drew a crowd, and the ball's now in the air in the midfield. Sheehu overran it, and that's played ahead up toward Isaiah Daniel. Daniel looking to cut to the inside, and Flores got a foot on it and cleared it away toward the opposite sideline.
It's a great play by Flores. It was risky. He came over all the way to the other side of the field, and if he does that, he has to make a play on the ball. Otherwise, there's way too much open space. He did exactly that.
Didn't even catch it, but at the other end of the field, Espinoza's down. Uzo was in a foot race toward that ball with Becerra and Head athletic trainer Allison Ocasio will head out and check on Espinoza. It looks like he's grabbing at his hamstring, his left hamstring.
He's rubbing it. I'm wondering if there was a tough collision and it's feeling sore. That's optimistic of me, but if it's a pull, if it's a muscle pull, that is not good.
He may need some help to get to his feet here. Unsure right now of how much weight that leg can bear. We'll see what comes of this. And it looks like he's going to head off. Clock was stopped at 27:19. And if Espinoza cannot return, that's a big loss for the Dolphins. Looks like William Lopez is getting ready to replace him. He's standing at midfield right now.
He's walking under his own power. He's not limping too severely, if at all, but this will be a very interesting situation for Coach Kuba to think over, because of course you would want a player like Espinoza to come back into the game, but you're already holding a lead. This is down the stretch, end of the season, very important games coming up. It's a difficult balancing act.
Play resumes with just over 27 minutes remaining in the second half. The Dolphins' lead is a single goal. 2 shots on goal for the Dolphins. Both have found the back of the net, both off the foot of Miguel Espinoza. The Dolphins are without him at the moment. Right now unclear if he will return. That ball played up ahead toward Meza Baez in the corner. Corner flag goes down. The Dolphins take possession. CSI looking for an opportunity to counter quickly, but that was cut off by Daniel. And players spilling over one another there. Lopez and Vargas went down. Free kick awarded to the Firebirds. Taken quickly. Meza Baez got in behind the Dolphins, and we have a penalty shot. And that is not what you're looking for if you're the Dolphins. Not only the fact that that results in a penalty shot, but the free kick was taken very quickly, and an attacker was able to get in behind the CSI defense on a run coming off of a free kick.
It all comes from a mental lapse from CSI. They left a man wide open on the near side, and Asensio Cueva was extremely slow to get out there, and he decided to stick a foot in there on, I think it was number 2, Dennis Meza Baez. And that's just a couple too many mistakes. Stick a foot in on a player in the box, make any kind of contact, and you're giving an opportunity for a penalty call.
Well, Meza Baez had a chance just a few moments ago to score the second UDC goal. Shot was stopped by Thompson, who was then forced to dive on top of it after a rebound was fumbled over by Asensio Cueva. He got a foot on it trying to clear, didn't get all of the clearance, and Thompson needed to scramble to cover up the ball. Asensio Cueva is heading off right now, so the Dolphins may also be without him moving forward in this game. Axel Gomez is going to take the penalty kick with a chance to even up the score. Dolphins will send a substitution into the game, placing Asensio Cueva here.
I believe it's Aiden Sivio.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I think that might be Will Trees, number 28.
If only we could see the numbers, you know?
We cannot. We'll get you that substitution following this goal. PK is good, and UDC has leveled up the score a second time. We are knotted up at 2. Dolphins commit the foul in the box, and Axel Gomez makes them pay.
Puts them at 9 at the season. 2 of those, of course, coming today. And just a difficult gut punch for the Dolphins. And one question I do want to ask is about the decision to put Asensio Cueva at left back. He's been playing most season at center back, and he just hasn't looked comfortable out wide there. Taking a big chance shifting around players. As we can see now, it is number 28, Will Trees. And when you shift around players like that, you know, you're leaving yourself open to players making mistakes in positions they're not comfortable playing.
Dolphins were hoping to run a corner there. Keno Thompson into the game for UDC as well. He was challenging Uzo there and forced him to cough it up along the touchline. We've seen quite a few down to the wire, back and forth, close games this year. However, those were in non-conference play. This by far the most back and forth, highly competitive conference matchup we have seen so far here at Dolphins Soccer Park this year, though I was not here for the last conference doubleheader. That one rolling into the attacking third, track down there. Daniel working against Shehu. Gives it up. Campero gave it up once again to Vargas. Vargas dispossessed. Leandro Angulo sends one up ahead. And Uzo couldn't get there.
Foul called on Angulo, so the Dolphins do have a free kick.
Free kick played east to west onto the foot of Steven Flores. Under 24 and a half minutes to go from Dolphins Soccer Park. Dolphins and Firebirds even at 2. That ball headed toward Lopez. He's got it. Curlew had it knocked away from him, but Morris is there waiting. Garcia for Angulo. Angulo surveys his surroundings. Has a streaking Morris. Morris looked to cross. It's chipped in the air on the back heel and cleared away. Trees with the left foot. Unorthodox, but gets it to Garcia. That one sent toward Morris, and Morris fortunately able to get a foot on it. The Dolphins keep possession. That one targeting Uzo was broken up, and then a collision sends the ball up and over the fence. Goal kick, UDC, 23:30 on the clock.
Dolphins still in a relatively favorable position because the onus will remain on the Firebirds to get a lead, considering their conference stature. So they'll still be feeling the pressure, and the Dolphins will just be hoping to break.
If you're looking at which team is more likely to get the best outcome long term, should they lose, obviously it would be UDC. They're still going to be playoff bound in all likelihood. In fact, that might be a mathematical certainty at this point. But if their bid for a 1 or a 2 seed comes down to this game, it's going to be tough for them to secure one of those spots with a loss. This is Uzo. Cross on target just over the head of Curlew.
Really good delivery and nice build-up from the Dolphins. It's just a shame that Curlew is so short. And now they're going to have to work back here because the counter is on.
No doubt about it. This is Gomez. Up to Campero. Campero fought off by Trees. He finds Daniel Angulo in the midfield. Curlew, right at the midfield stripe, works back the other way and sends one up toward Trees, who's making a run. But the ball was knocked down, and once again, UDC will look to counter. Daniel for Campero. Campero working toward the center of the pitch now. Gomez gets it away. Daniel has some room, sends one toward goal, and Thompson's on top of it.
Good work by Fortune Uzo to cover for Will Trees, who made the forward run. Got into space and broke up the play. Not sure if he made much contact on the ball, but his mere presence there made it more difficult for the Firebirds to operate in that moment.
Lopez over to Trees. Angulo. Sheehu. Flores. Back to Thompson. Now, we mentioned what this game means to UDC in terms of what would happen if they potentially go on to lose their bid for a top 2 seed. Still mathematically alive, a tough road from here if they were to lose this game. But for the Dolphins, if they lose this game, they will have to win twice in order to have a shot. I'm not sure there's a way that they could finish with only 5 points and qualify for the playoffs if they were to lose this game.
Positive news for the Dolphins. Miguel Espinosa has come back onto the field.
That's huge. Dolphins likely to have him out there for the final 20 minutes plus, as that's headed toward the near sideline. Angulo jockeying for position with Vargas. Angulo goes down. No whistle. Play continues. Angulo could not keep it in along the near side. And there was a foul ahead of that ball sent up the pitch by Angulo. Free kick Staten Island. We're now under 20 minutes to go. It's got a bit chilly here at Dolphins Soccer Park. Excellent fall weather today. These players have 19 and a half minutes to go. Both sides in search of a go-ahead goal. Big crowd assembled along the far side just beyond the midfield stripe. Curlew emerges with the ball. Curlew avoids one challenge, moving up the far side. Parker all over him. Those two have gone at it quite a bit here in the second half. Curlew, quick throw for Garcia. Garcia looked to get it back to Curlew, but that ball was off target. Here come the Firebirds through the midfield. Lopez in pursuit. Ball played up ahead. Campero working toward the center of the pitch. Angulo nearly got there from behind. Instead, it ended up on the foot of Daniel. He's forced to chase it down toward the near side. Lopez all over him and forces the concession of a throw.
Good job by Trees and Lopez working together, not allowing the Firebirds to take control of that space wide.
Espinoza whistled for a foul. Free kick UDC. 18:25 to go. Vargas will take this free kick. Most of his teammates lined up along the top of the box. That ball headed toward goal. Thompson there. Throws up the pitch quickly. Stephen Bronco checked into the game for CSI as well, along with Espinoza. Didn't catch him until just now. Dolphins bench wanted a yellow card for impeding that free kick. Clock stopped.
Referees come over to talk to Dolphins head coach Alex Kuba. Seems to have a few complaints.
He's had enough. Now, historically, the Dolphins bench is a very vocal bench. We can't hear what the nature of the conversation was, but based on body language, it looks like the head referee said any more from the bench, and we're going to have some ejections. That's what it looked like.
What's curious is that the referee can issue yellow cards to the bench. He doesn't just have to give a verbal warning. He certainly doesn't have to go straight to reds.
That ball was redirected in front of Thompson. That was almost a disaster for the Dolphins. And there is another CSI player down. Clock stopped again at 17:15. I think that's Sheehu who is down on his back. Looks like he's cramping up, and Thompson's helping him stretch out.
He really lunged to make the intervention on that cross, and it was a great play, but Yeah, his muscles are being pushed.
It's a good play to break it up, and nonetheless, it almost worked out to benefit the Firebirds. That ball was headed for Thompson, it appeared, and the redirection freed up the ball again to potentially be struck toward goal. And the Dolphins will wave the trainer out onto the field, so Allison's getting a workout today. He's had to jog out there no less than 3 or 4 times already in this game. Once again, the clock is stopped at 17:15. Dolphins with a couple of shots on goal. Both have found the back of the net. Both goals belong to Miguel Espinoza. On the other side, pair of goals, both belong to Axel Gomez. Leading goal scorers coming up big for both teams. And we will see if either side has a game winner in them during these final minutes. And we'll give them probably another 30 seconds to work on Sheehu before we step aside and take a quick break. Right now he's being attended to off of your screen. Our camera system is completely automated, so the camera right now not focusing on the injured player. I'm not quite sure, and we've spoken about it many times already this year, I'm not quite sure what changed with our automated camera system. We did not have the extra space, the top and bottom of the screen last season. We're using the same system as last year. Unfortunately, this year we have black bars that take up much of the viewing space when the camera pans left or right. Unfortunately, also, when this game was created on Huddle, Men's Soccer did not make the recording long enough. So I'm going to have to go manually change that now. Fortunately, we have that information. Perhaps not on this system, though. We'll have to see. And we don't have it here, so I may have to do it on my system. And we have a problem because my computer is dead. So hopefully we can get this taken care of before the game is done. Aaron, why don't you take over the call, and I'm going to have to recalibrate our video.
Well, I will continue what will be essentially a radio call, it seems, until Joe can find a solution here. Amari Thompson kicks long, headed back towards the Dolphins' half. Leandro Angulo got a foot on it, but now it's coming towards the near sideline, and they're going to call a foul, I think, against Daniel Angulo. So about 15 yards ahead of halfway line, the Firebirds will have a free kick, and they're going to swing it into the box. Players now congregating around the edge of the 18. Here's the delivery. High floated ball. Amari Thompson's out for it, and he will grab it. Good play by Amari Thompson to assert control over his 18-yard box. Thompson allowing for his team to set up. He will place the ball on the turf. Distributing with his feet. Off the chest of Curlew. Really nice play. Michael Garcia back to Curlew, and now they're coming forwards. They've got numbers. Curlew dribbling forwards. He plays to Espinoza. It's going to go all the way through for a goal kick. Nothing came of it, but it was a really nice break there for the Dolphins getting forwards. Curlew just overhit that pass. Otherwise, Espinoza could have had an opportunity to complete a hat trick. Goal kick now for the Firebirds. They play short. On it now is Bouguet. He's looking to play long. He does. Up for it was Flores. He doesn't get it, and now all of a sudden Firebirds are in and around the box. Cross comes in near the penalty spot. Slips all the way through. Daniel Angulo comes away with it. Angulo on the near sideline. Wiggles between two defenders, finds Lopez, whose touch was too big. Flores will settle. Flores plays forward to Curlew. His touch also gets away from him, but he fights through defenders. Eventually, it goes out for a throw-in in the Dolphins. Throw-in comes forward to Morris. Unclear who has control of it. They're fighting for it on the far side. Curlew's there. Curlew being knocked around. Eventually, the ball does trickle out of bounds, but this time the throw-in goes for UDC. UDC throws, headed up in the air. Brought down, Curlew fighting for it. With Zachary Parker, we had a big collision, and it's going to be a free kick for the Dolphins.
All right, Aaron, we're back online. So the issue there is that when a team sets up their schedule in Huddle, they allocate a specific amount of time to the game recording. With all the injuries that we had throughout this game, not enough time was allocated for this recording. This game got started at 3 p.m., so I'm guessing they set the recording to 2 hours, if I had to guess. We needed probably 2.5 because the recording begins usually 30 minutes before the game. Though I think with men's soccer, it might have been 15 minutes before the game. Either way, we've extended the recording, and we should be good. It's going to be a goal kick for UDC. We are inside 14 minutes remaining in this game.
Frustration there following the free kick. Leandro Angulo's delivery was not able to really find a teammate. Curlew tried to flick it on, but no one was there at the back post. Here's Angulo, forward to Espinoza. Espinoza looking for support. He turns his defender. What a play by Espinoza. Now he's got space in front of him. Eventually plays wide to Garcia. Garcia tries to play forward to Angulo. Fighting for the ball, but defenders come away with it. Now the Firebirds can break. Andrew Angulo working, and he makes a bad tackle on the far side, and he's going to get a yellow card for that. I'm searching through my memory to see if Leandro Angulo already had a yellow card, but I don't think he did.
He did not.
Now he does.
He does not. He did not. Or did not. He does now. So it's going to be a free kick for UDC. Clock stopped again at 12:47. This game started on time, so for a regulation-length game to go over 2 hours is quite unusual. We don't see it too often. But this game is certainly headed over the 2-hour mark as the Dolphins are able to clear away off of that free kick. Garcia puts it in the air. Lopez, the nearest Dolphin, on the way down. Parker heads it. Curlew has it on his foot. Bronco in heavy traffic, looking to turn, and he sends one toward Curlew, and that one is booted a mile high up and over the fence. That ball headed a long way away. Dolphins will throw. We approach 12 minutes to go. Second half. Angulo took some contact as he sent that ball skyward, and it's cleared away by the Firebirds. Flores was waiting for it. Finds Lopez. Lopez over to Trees. Trees squares up and wanted Bronco. He just missed him. Those two nearly connected in front.
Really good look from Trees. Play that low ball and hope for a deflection. Hope one of your teammates can push it goalwards. He was a little frustrated. He wanted a bit more shape on that, but couldn't wrap his foot around it.
Certainly a good opportunity there for the Dolphins as Bronco made his run right down the center of the pitch. Trees looking for him, just a bit long and a bit strong on that ball. 11:20 to go from Dolphin Soccer Park. Battle for possession along the far side. It goes to UDC for a moment. Now the Dolphins have it. Lopez toward Daniel Angulo. Angulo gives chase. His fellow attackers join him. Angulo had it knocked off of him by Thompson. And that is rightfully going to be a goal kick for UDC. The Dolphins didn't like it, but that was the right call.
It's unfortunate they didn't get anything from it because it was a great move from Angulo in the near corner. What a spin.
No doubt about it. Angulo did well to free himself up, but was beaten to the ball. Once again, the ball in the air. It's being chipped toward the attacking third for the Firebirds. That one was nearly taken away from Liam Thompson. Kano Thompson and Liam Thompson in the game for UDC as the Dolphins intercept that pass with just over 10 minutes to play. Lopez back to Asensio Cueva. Good to see him back out there after leaving with an injury earlier.
And it looks like Coach Kuba has shifted Asensio Cueva into the center back position, his more natural spot.
Curlew was fouled, and the Dolphins will earn a free kick, perhaps from a spot. Well, they will look to shoot it. We'll see.
It's somewhat ironic because Asensio Cueva was playing left back. He came out because he was hurt. Will Trees came in to replace him, and then Shehu, the center back, came out, and the previously hurt Asensio Cueva comes in to replace him. So very complicated musical chairs there.
It's been a tough day for the Dolphins in terms of injuries. They've seen 3 players leave the pitch. 2 have come back. Actually, check that. 4 players have left the pitch. 2 have returned. Naranjo and Shehu did not come back after leaving. Espinoza and Asensio Cueva did. And Espinoza will send one toward goal just wide.
Wasn't a bad effort. Had nice shape. Got it over the wall, but it's difficult to score those free kicks. You need to put a lot of power behind those shots, and had that been on target, I think the keeper would have been there for it.
Becerra looked to have it tracked pretty well off the foot of Espinoza. We are now inside of 9 minutes remaining. Dolphins possess once again in the midfield. Ball up toward Angulo, headed toward Curlew, and it's redirected straight to Espinoza, who lost it. Long ball back the other way. Asensio Cueva waiting for it, couldn't get ahead on it. Mezabaya is in a foot race with Trees. And Trees got away with a handball there. Inadvertent, but a handball for sure, I thought. We have a good angle.
Not really sure what the referee was thinking there. He kind of pinned the ball between his arm and his torso. That's definitely a handball in my opinion.
Dolphins perhaps catch a break in that spot. They will certainly take it. 8 minutes remaining. Score even at 2. Obviously, both teams want to win this game, but I think a draw is mutually beneficial to both sides in this position. The Dolphins probably need the win more. UDC, in their hunt for a top 2 seed, could certainly settle for a draw. As there's a bad pass. Mezabaya is moving in. Plays one toward the middle, gets it back, did not elect to shoot, and that cost him. I thought for sure that Mezabaya would look to shoot, and that ball could have been big trouble if it got through to Daniel Angulo.
I'll tell you what, Asensio Cueva is breathing a big sigh of relief because that mistake put his team in a very bad spot.
Rightfully so, in response to breathing a sigh of relief. That was nearly a critical error in that spot, as that one's headed toward us, but it didn't quite reach. We have gotten a ball in this window before. It has happened. 6:45.
If it happens,
well, you are a goalkeeper, so you can use your hands.
Yep, I can catch it.
Curlew looked to turn. He's fouled. Clock stopped again as they will get the ball set. 6:31 remaining.
It's a difficult game you play when the clock's winding down in college soccer because you want to knock the ball away just enough so that it's difficult for the other team and waste some time, but not enough so that the ref stops it.
Ball in the midfield. Angulo was able to get it to Garcia. Garcia wanted Curlew. He was surrounded by black jerseys, and now potential on the counter for UDC. Garcia standing his ground, and a chance to turn and shoot. That's just wide. Mezabaya with another chance. That one travels just wide. Not a lot on that shot, as he tried to pinpoint that spot just inside the far post.
It was a difficult shot, really hard to keep it on target when you're turning around like that. What I will say is Michael Garcia in that sequence committed two very important mistakes when you're defending in the box, which is you don't dangle a leg and you don't leave your feet. He did both of those things and got away with them. Handball there called against Zachary Parker. A little bit of a break for the Dolphins.
Dolphins take the free kick quickly. We saw the Firebirds benefit from a quick free kick taken earlier. Angulo got it away. Lopez has room. Sends one toward goal. Bodies in front. And it's cleared away again. Dolphins will throw. CSI waves off the substitution. Under 5 minutes to play. Ball headed by Thompson. And Curlew went down. CSI bench and sensed they wanted a whistle. They don't get it. And now a chance the other way. Here comes Gomez. Gomez going right at Flores with a good tackle. Flores knocks the ball away.
Yellow card issued to Will Trees. Must have been saying something to the referee regarding the earlier non-call. Which, personally, Joe, I did not believe it was a penalty. I did not see any strong contact enough to conjure a call.
I agree with you there. A penalty kick, the reason this score is even. Came earlier in the second half after CSI had taken the lead. Dolphins hope they can get in front one more time. Under 4 minutes to play from Dolphins Soccer Park. Chance here. Working against Flores. I believe that was Gordillo. Couldn't make anything of the opportunity. Fortune Uzo heading back onto the pitch with just over 3.5 minutes to play.
Bit of an attacking decision late in this game. Personally, I wonder why Uzo hasn't been on the field earlier. I feel like his electric pace is something that gives a real edge to the Dolphins' attack.
Well, you know that he has plenty left in the tank right now. He's been sitting for quite a while.
Hopefully he's been keeping fresh and his legs haven't stiffened up.
3 minutes to go. Espinoza gets rid of it. Trees up to Angulo with the heel, plays it toward Uzo, who with the heel gets it to Espinoza. Espinoza was moving in, and it was cleared away by Bugay. Huge clearance.
What a nice creative pass from Uzo, and the vision was equally as impressive. Unfortunately, Espinoza's touch let him down. Could have been a big chance.
Dolphins very nearly had a big opportunity to take the lead back. CSI has led twice. Both times, UDC has come up with an equalizer, and now they will look to take their first lead. Here comes Meza Baez, center of the pitch for Daniel, right back to Meza Baez, and Angulo disrupted that with the sliding tackle. And we've seen those two, Daniel and Meza Baez, play very well off of one another on the UDC side in this game. They've been working up the wing on this near side very effectively throughout this second half. Vargas and Uzo both went down in the midfield. There's under 2 minutes to play. Uzo getting up a bit slowly. Becerra will scoop it up in the box. 1:40 on the clock. Becerra will look to punt. We know he can send it a long way, and he sure does. Well beyond midfield into the attacking third. Asensio Cueva was the nearest Dolphin, but UDC comes down with it. Trees got a foot in there. Lopez with 1:20 remaining. Moves across the midfield stripe. Wants Uzo, but Thompson sends it the other way. Trees heads it toward the near side. Nobody home for the Dolphins. Throw in Firebirds.
That was wasteful from Lopez. He's got to find a better pass there.
1 minute remaining. Both teams looking for a go-ahead goal. That one shot with the left foot. Gordillo didn't get much on it. Easy save for Thompson. Thompson out across midfield over the head of Uzo. Angulo tried to chip it in the air. Parker got a piece. It winds up back with Angulo. Gomez broke it up, but we have a foul against Parker. The clock has not been stopped yet. Free kick, Staten Island. The clock ticks down inside of 30 seconds before the clock is finally stopped.
That's questionable by the referee. You should either be stopping the clock right when the foul is called or you don't stop it at all.
And we have a player down. UDC wants a red card.
I don't think the referee saw what happened, so I don't think he'll be issuing a card.
We didn't see what happened either, and I'm not sure you'll see much on this replay, but let's see if we can spot something.
I don't think the referee can possibly give out a red card based on something he's told happened. On top of that, I believe there was an element of embellishment there. If I'm believing what I've seen.
I don't know if you've heard, but apparently there's something with Logan Paul where he has like metal in his hand. He had a surgically replaced hand. That was a storyline in wrestling, so I don't know who it was in the Dolphins that made contact there, but unless he has lead in the fist, that appeared to be embellishment. Free kick toward the top of the box, headed in the air. 22 seconds remaining. Asensio Cueva tracks this one down. Fight for possession. Daniel has it. Chance to play a man through, and the ball does trickle onto the foot of Anthony Diaz. He was offsides, and that will do it.
4, 3, 2, 1.
And the Dolphins will settle for a draw on their home turf. CSI, of course, was looking to pick up a big win and reinsert themselves into the playoff picture. However, if they pick up wins in their last 2 games, Aaron, they're very much alive. No reason to hang their heads today. It was a strong effort from them against the UDC team that came in as one of the top 3 teams in the East Coast Conference. The Dolphins had 2 separate leads in this game, ultimately could not protect them, and didn't have a third goal in them on this afternoon.
I think it's really easy for Dolphins players to feel disappointed considering they gave up a lead twice. However, you have to remain positive, especially considering the end-of-season implications. You picked up a point against a good conference opponent. You're putting yourself in a position to still be in the playoff mix going forwards. You have a favorable matchup against D'Youville coming up. You got to be able to lift yourself up and say you played well, because they did. They had a great performance, and they've got to look forward to the next matchups. D'Youville, like I said, and then Malloy, that'll really be the big game. Everything will come down to that. They are still in the mix here.
Absolutely no reason for CSI to hang their heads, but now the margin for error has significantly decreased heading into those final 2 games. The Dolphins will likely need to win them both. They will certainly need to win the game against Malloy on October 28th, and I think, Aaron, in all likelihood, with a draw today, they probably will have to win both down the stretch. Should be an exciting 10 days coming up for this men's soccer program. Same goes for the women. They are very much alive in the playoffs. In fact, they are in a playoff spot right now, so it will be interesting to see how their season develops down the stretch. They have 3 games remaining, including this Saturday's match at D'Youville, along with a non-conference matchup against Goldie Beacom, and then one final home match on October 28th against Malloy. So until next week, when Aaron and I, or I should say when I cover the game along with Nick Bavona against Goldie Beacom, this has been Joe Foreman alongside Aaron Cohen, our engineer once again, Tyler Clark. Thank you everyone at home who tuned in all day long for our East Coast Conference soccer doubleheader. Our final in this men's game, a 2-2 draw between the College of Staten Island and UDC.